Welcome to Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure that you are, see if I get, okay, good framing, got it, good framing. Make sure that you are subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notifications. Like, comment, and share. I have a funny feeling that commenting and sharing are not going to be issues. Some of you are not going to like what we talk about tonight. And as you can see, I've got Lisa Hanson with me here. Just going to be honest. We're here because I'm going to hold Lisa's feet to the fire a little bit, because there's some rumor going around that this event that took place back in January in the Albert Lea City Hall was all perpetrated by Lisa, that she gained unlawful entry to the City Hall, that she basically forced her way into the building, forced her way into the city attorney's office. And as many of you have seen from the videos that are not up right now, but they will be again here in the future. I said it. It is what it is. People have insinuated that do not know the whole story. Some of them have not seen the video, and some of the people that have seen the video have implied that Lisa violated the law in some way, shape, or form. Now, I have a hard time believing that, because under the circumstances, there have been people that haven't had a problem charging Lisa with just about everything they could think to charge her with under the circumstances over the last year and a half. Lisa, thank you for being here. Thanks for helping me set the story straight. Tell me a little bit about this day, what led you to the City Hall, where you had been prior to this, and what led up to this exact moment before we start hitting play.
Yeah, thanks, TC, for having me on again. I always love spending some time talking with you about this stuff because it's so important.
Aww.
I'm
gonna blush.
Yes, well, leading up to the day that we're going to talk about, have been compelled into court, not properly, mind you. And there is a court, there are charges against me. The prosecuting attorney is Kelly Dawn Martinez, Albert Lea City Attorney. And it just so happens that I had papers to serve to her in regards to the case. And so I needed to get these to her quickly. I didn't have time to put them in the mail, et cetera, et cetera. So my option was basically personal service. So
let me interrupt you right there.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't something that you did on your own. You received counsel from somebody with some legal knowledge, saying you're going into, because you were going into court. Was it a day after this or 2 days after this?
1 day after, the very next day.
So the very next day after this, you were going into court, and the paperwork that you had, even though it wasn't technically something that you needed to have paid somebody to do a service for, your legal counsel said, look, you're obligated to get this paper to her before court tomorrow.
Yes, more or less, that it would be in good
good faith.
Thank you. Good faith to get these papers to her today. When you're litigating, there's some things come at us really, really quickly. And so the process is not always as long as we'd like it to be, or we don't always have the time allotted, et cetera, et cetera. So this all happened very, very quickly. The team that I work with was, yes, guiding me and suggested very strongly that it would be in everybody's best interest to get these papers into the hands of the city attorney that day.
And prior to this, you had already been over to the county building, to the county courthouse, to the clerk of courts. How many people did you push around and hold at gunpoint to affect that delivery of paperwork?
0.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I am a little sarcastic sometimes, so, which is why everybody loves me.
Of course.
So leading up to this moment, about what time of day was this, Lisa?
Oh man, now you're making me really think. I believe this would have been. I believe this was in the afternoon. I believe it was in the afternoon. I have the affidavit of time of service and all of that, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But I believe it was afternoon.
Yeah, I'm relatively certain it was afternoon as well. I'm from our conversation about this in the past. But you had made numerous phone calls, correct, in the morning?
Yes, yes. Well, we had tried. We had called ahead of time, of course, to make an arrangement, make an appointment, whatever, and we were not allowed to speak, or the city attorney was not available. Let's put it that way.
In
And
fact,
so,
you left messages.
yes, I did leave at least one message with the person that answered the phone. So and that message was transferred on to, I believe, the assistant or administrative assistant to the city attorney.
Okay. And in this process, when you made the decision to go to the county building first and then go to the city hall, you had with you a personal assistant and another person who was there. And when you went to the county courts, you were shooting video there as well.
We were shooting video in the county court, in the courthouse. No, I don't believe we shot video there.
Okay. And I only asked
No.
this. I only asked this because you made a decision to shoot video going into the city hall because of the nature and the adversarial relationship that had developed between you and the city attorney's office, correct?
Correct.
I know that's a leading question and someone would object, but I mean, it's a pretty safe bet that there's an adversarial relationship between you and the city attorney since you're being prosecuted by the city attorney.
Well, and it's also the nature of the prosecution. It's the nature in how everything has been done from the prosecuting attorney. So there was no concern going into the courthouse. I did not have a concern that we needed to, have a video or a recording of what happened to the courthouse when I went to file the papers in person. However, the story was a lot different going into the city hall, where the city attorney's office resides and where she works. That was, again, a whole different story because of the nature of her behavior was so just vicious. And I did not know how it would go. I was very concerned.
Right. And so, and I'm going to just take a little pause here. And this is for anybody. You go to a city council meeting, you go to a county commissioner meeting, you go to a planning and zoning committee meeting, you go to speak, you go to a county or a school board meeting to speak during public forums. Like when you step foot on that property and you get ready to go through that door, I'm going to just tell you right now, under the circumstances, if you're not there to back them up 100%, like on board fully with their agenda, the minute you go through that door, you better be recording. And not just one of you, every single person. Mm-hmm. Every single person. If you are going to hold public servants accountable, and this is not what Lisa was doing here this day, and we're going to get to it in just a second. But under the circumstances right now, if you're going to any kind of public meeting, you had better be shooting video, and you had better make sure that everybody with you is shooting video. So make sure your phone is charged up all the time, and make sure that you know what you're doing, and make sure that it's recording.
Maybe have an extra battery pack as well.
And absolutely have a battery pack, because I tell you, if you don't, they are going to spin it and spin it and spin it. And unfortunately, in this situation, for the people who are trying to spin this, and the people that are making the accusations that Lisa broke the law by even entering this building, the evidence is out there. You can say what you want, but the evidence is there. And we're going to get to it in here in just a second. Lisa, what's your personal conviction on wearing any kind of facial covering at the behest or order of any public servant, whether they be elected or appointed? Do you believe that you are obligated to obey that order?
No, I do not.
Okay. This is very important, because what we're about to see, ladies and gentlemen, is the exact opposite of what you will hear about Lisa Hanson.
TC, another thing that, if I can just, I don't even know if I've ever shared this with you. That day, when we knew that we had to serve these papers, going into the courthouse was not going to be an issue. We could get that done, no problem. Going into the city hall to serve the city attorney, again, there was a concern there for me. I didn't want to cause a situation. There was already there was already a what would you call it? The situation or the relationship was already
tense.
Yeah, it was tense. It was I don't even know how to explain it, because I've never been involved in anything like this before. But city attorney obviously was after me with vindictive notions, and because of that, I actually did not want to serve those papers. But because of the time element, we had only one day to get this done. I actually called the sheriff's office, and I did speak with the sheriff himself, Sheriff Freitag, and asked him. And keep in mind, these are in the early days when I knew nothing. I knew very, very little. I have a lot to learn yet at this point. I have a lot to learn, but I have learned, quite a few things since going through all of this. And so, but back at that time, I knew nothing. I'd never served papers before. Right. I had papers served on me. So the sheriff told me, he says, well, we can do it for you. You call and you schedule, and there's going to be a charge and whatever and whatever. I said, well, I don't have time to wait.
Which is normal. That's very common.
Yeah.
People
right.
Understand
so that. I said, I don't have time. We can't do this we can't wait and do this tomorrow. Right. This has to be done today. So that's why I chose to go in and do this and have witnesses along with me. So just to clarify that point too.
Right. Absolutely. And just a real quick question. How many times had you personally met the city attorney at this point? How many times you ever met her face to face at this point?
I'd never met her.
Okay.
Never met her.
I want everybody to understand that Lisa had never personally met the city attorney at this point. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lisa's under very specific directions at this point that if there's something that she wants to say, she is supposed to fidget and wave and scream and holler, and we will stop the video.
So this is the beginning of the video. Now, we were, like I said, we had called ahead, and one of the employees actually unlocked the front doors for us and let us in. And right here, you saw me bending over. There I am. And I'm signing in. She asked us to sign our names. And so the three of us signed in before we moved on. So I have my assistant with me, and then another person is also with me, and they're right now they would be signing in. I had a videographer with me that day,
which we should all be doing at this point. Yes.
I had no idea how valuable this was, what this would mean to us. The reason we had the video going was just in case we might need a record. So we're walking down the hallway to the city attorney's office, and you can see that we are being. I have a face shield on because I was asked to wear one coming in, and you can see that we are led right into the office of the city attorney.
I would like to point out right here that this door is not locked either. This door is wide open. And Lisa, I want you to point out what's very easy to observe when I hit play here again.
So this is the assistant to the city attorney coming up to the window, and she opens you can see she opens the little window there, and she has no mask on. So we're talking to her. And she is asking us what we need, and I'm just simply telling her I have papers to serve to the city attorney, and then I'm asked to take a seat and wait. Okay. So we're ready with our papers, and we're waiting on the city attorney at this point.
And I do believe that at some point a little bit of frustration sets in and you say, well, she doesn't have to wear a mask.
Yes, actually, yes. Because I don't wear a mask. I've never worn a face shield except for situations like this, and where there was no other way that they would allow me into the building. Well, when I got into the building and saw that the assistant to the city manager is not covering her face, that was very frustrating, very aggravating. So at some point here, I take.
How do I want people to see this very clearly, that Lisa is wearing a shield, a face shield. Her personal assistant and her videographer are also both wearing some sort of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing it.
Yeah.
And they walk in, allowed into the building, sign in like they're required to do, which outside of these COOF restriction garbages that were going on, you never had to sign into the city hall before.
No.
The door is open. The door to the office, or the plexiglass shield, or whatever you want to call it, the sliding glass window is opened up. Conversation is taking place without any sort of facial covering, while on the part of the staff there. And we're at this point right now, and so now Lisa's being asked, like, what are we doing here today? Is the question that was asked.
I can't read this thing. We're dropping off a document for the city attorney, Ms. Martinez. It's basically a rebuttal, an objection, and a non-consent, as well as a jurisdictional challenge to her charges against me. It's absolutely unconstitutional what she is doing, and so we are going to challenge her on her claims. So we have that coming. It seems looks like she's maybe soon to come out, or she's going to make us wait for a while. I'm not sure. Lisa Williamson doesn't have a mask on, does she? No. The secretary. I don't think she put a mask on when she went back into Ms. Martinez's office. No mask on in here. This is interesting.
Now, as a point of clarification, as Lisa is pointing out the obvious, there were some regulations and some guidance in place that if you're in an office cubicle by yourself and there's people that aren't more than like 6 feet or within 6 feet of you or whatever, or you're working ostensibly alone, you don't necessarily have to have one on. But she still opened that window within 6 feet of people and still didn't have that mask on.
No mask on. So where we're at right now, in the office that we are looking into, which is Ms. Martinez's office, I haven't seen a mask yet. I'm assuming Ms. Martinez will be wearing a mask when she comes out.
We can only hope.
So what's the legality of what you're handing her right now?
Well, we're just stating that it's a bunch of really important legal stuff, lawful information that says that the governor has no right or jurisdiction to make peacetime emergency laws in reference to a person's effects. We, the people, have the right and the freedom to operate our businesses, to live our lives freely, and to make our own health choices. But the governor does not have the capacity, he's not given the capacity to make these decisions for us. And so he's making these decisions out of line or against his oath of office.
So are you in support of these office workers not wearing their masks then?
I guess that if I have to wear a mask, or if you have to wear a mask, or the people down the hallway have to wear a mask, these people should also have to wear a mask. And so far I haven't seen the secretary
So you were just
put a
at
mask
the
on.
courthouse too. What were you doing there?
We were at the courthouse filing our rebut with the court system, with the clerk of court.
I want to point out that Lisa
So
has
now
continued
we're
to
talking
observe that the
to
mask has not gone on the
and it will
individual
be
in
filed,
the
and it will go to the judge,
city attorney's
and he
office
will
at this
see it,
point,
yet today or tomorrow.
while she's within speaking distance
arraignment,
of the city attorney.
So that he understands our rebut before we go in.
And once again, Lisa has entered this building legally, and up until this point has complied with every single restriction that has been put in place until she took the face covering off because it was bothering her. And the example that was being set by public servants was, you don't need it on.
Audience, however you say that. So really what we're seeing is, our constitutional rights are being trampled on. We are seeing tyranny like we've never seen it before in this country. Since we've had the Constitution, since we've been protected by the Constitution. And this is something that we need to put a stop to. So here we are. We're exercising our lawful constitutional rights. We're in City Hall at the city attorney's office. And
Oh, look at this.
would like to speak with her.
There's 2 seats here, not 6 feet apart.
I would say maybe 2.5.
And definitely not 6 feet though, which is according to all these people, the law.
Right. That's true. Good observation.
So
I'm finding maybe some discrepancies here. What's good for the goose is not good for the gander.
The heck you say.
They may be able to hear us all.
You can laugh, Lisa. It's all right.
So anyway, here we are. And
Is it surreal watching yourself, Lisa?
It is. I guess one of the interesting things is
to put
I can speak about it just a little bit better now. I'm watching myself struggle going through this because it's all so new to me, but we have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you said that. And feel free to talk over until we get to
Sure.
Good points, because, well, this whole thing is good, but I just want to emphasize, Lisa was accused of entering the building unlawfully, of unlawful entrance into a public building. I just, and I've heard this rumor around, like people have been messaging me, well, what do you do with Lisa, or talking to me, I should say, not messaging. I'm so used to saying messaging because that's what we've been doing for the last year. But people have been like, well, I heard Lisa entered the building illegally. That's propaganda,
I honestly
folks.
find it rather amusing because we were led into the building. The doors were unlocked. The doors were already open. Some of the doors were already open. So to say that I had gained illegal access couldn't be anything further. It couldn't be further from the truth. So, and obviously you can see that we're, I guess I'd call that peaceful.
Yeah. If this is you violent, I would hate to see what you look like when you're laid back. So let's continue.
Yes. It was a long wait that day, or that afternoon. It was a long wait.
It's just made longer when you know it's going to be, there's coming conflict, which just makes it worse.
Right.
I'm not serving anything. I'm just dropping off papers.
So, and there again, Lisa's defense, she's new at this. She is serving papers in the sense that
right.
She has stuff that she knows that she's been told by legal counsel, you need to get this into them before tomorrow.
Right.
But also I want to point out that now we have, the door will not be, the sliding glass partition, which was perfectly safe to open 10 minutes ago, is now can't be opened safely. And not only is it not open, but the mask is on now, after it wasn't on for the entire time that she was having a conversation with the city attorney.
Right.
Because Lisa could be patient zero.
Yeah.
For Kelly, Ms. Martinez.
So you're right. I'm just wanting to drop off the papers. They were, again, I was a little confused. I was very new at this.
Would you mind going back up to the car?
And so I was new at this, and so she asked if I was serving papers, and technically, yes, I was. But technically, I didn't even have to serve these papers because I have filed them on the court record. And as you can see, I'm nervous here. I forgot something in the car. So I asked one of my assistant to go out to the car and get it. And so she went out to the car to get it. She's back here in just a very short time. But I was, again, I'm new at this, and I was a little bit confused going in there, but I knew I had important documents that she needed to see before tomorrow's but the next day's hearing. And I was just trying to do my duty getting those to her. If that makes sense. Am I making sense, TC?
Yeah, absolutely making sense. Like you're not an attorney, and you do not play one on TV or on my channel.
Mask on. And she wasn't wearing a mask the whole time when she was talking to Kelly.
So I can't hear her very well. As you see, I'm putting my head up to the window because she has the window closed. And we're still waiting for the city attorney. The city attorney still has not come out of the office. And I'm just wanting to leave the papers. Now, what I have is what was recommended to me is basically an affidavit. It's very, very simple. I don't even think it's necessarily an affidavit, but I would be asking the person who is taking the paper to just sign off that they are going to hand those papers to the city attorney. They're the responsible party. And so that's what my assistant has gone out to the car, because in my nervous little fit, when I was in my nervous state, when I left the car, I left that document behind. So we were recommended to hand the document to whoever would deliver to the attorney, and then just get a quick signature that they would basically giving their word that it would be delivered. That's what we're doing here. And
so we also want to emphasize that at this point, Lisa is what the legal system refers to in criminal trials or it's not trial at this point, but in criminal cases with criminal charging, Lisa is what's referred to as pro se, which basically boils down to she's representing herself as her own attorney. And I will somewhat tongue-in-cheek say, what they say about a person who has themselves as a client and attorney, they're representing a fool. So you can laugh at that one, Lisa. That was fine.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know. She's not done. This is the very first time she's had any interaction in person in the city attorney's office with any of this stuff. This is the very first time that she has approached the city attorney's office. She's never given paperwork before. No. And Lisa, what's your reasoning for not? Because what is going to transpire here is you're going to be told a couple of different times, just put the paper on the chair and leave.
Yes.
And before we get to that, and I don't want you to go into detail about that particular interaction, but in your mind, what's on that paperwork that you do not want it just sitting there?
Well, my confidential information, my name, my address, and at this point, again, I'm so new to all of this, that scared me a little, thinking that, okay, if I set this on the chair out here, I don't know if somebody would have access to it, walk by, pick up the paper. Would they be? I didn't know. There was such a resistance from the city attorney's office and the personnel there.
Okay, hold on to that thought. I just wanted to be understood that Lisa isn't doing this just to be some reticent, petulant, child. She's literally thinking to herself, I have personal information on this paperwork that I do not want people to just have. And she's not even accusing anybody in the city attorney's office of negligently leaving it there for some random person to get. It's just, I don't want to leave this sitting in a public office on a chair. That's all. That's it. It's not meant to be difficult. And she also wants to make sure that it's signed for so that they can't say later on, she never gave us this. And that's why her legal counsel told her to do this. So we're gonna go on here.
I think part of the conversation that's going on here is just some personal remarks from the assistant, and I think there was some mention. See, I'm holding my face shield. She's making some personal remarks, and I don't really want to get into that because she shared some personal things with me, and she was afraid that I had come into the window without a mask on or without a face covering on, and yet she had come to the window prior to that when I had my face covered without a face covering on. So it didn't make sense. None of it made sense.
And that's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, right there. That's it.
Here we go.
Here she comes now.
Oh, there she is.
Here she comes.
That's where she's telling me, just put it on the chair.
I wanted to be noted that the hand gesture was at this point, she's frustrated. And I can understand. She's in a bad spot. She's in a,
she is.
Completely understand. Bad spot.
Yes.
But the Nuremberg defense does not work for any person in public service. When you are a public servant, you don't get to say, I was just following orders. And getting to the point where you get frustrated and you start waving your hands around, just put it on the chair, just put it on the chair.
Right.
That is demeaning. I don't care who you are. That's completely demeaning. So Lisa, what we're going to do here is I'm gonna leave the volume up. I turned it up a little bit. I'm going to play this again, and I want people just to watch. I want to watch how this plays out, and I want people to see and form their own opinions about who is the aggressor and who's not the aggressor in this situation. If you hear something or something that you think needs to be clarified, say, let me know. But I want people to kind of watch this on their own. I mean, anybody watching my channel has already formed an opinion, but
I tried to schedule an appointment today and I didn't get a return call, so.
It's been a very busy day with court hearing, so I would ask you when you schedule an appointment to do that. I have you on the list to call for an appointment, and I can do that if you're able to.
This is a document that you're gonna want before tomorrow's arraignment.
That's fine. It's actually time you give us a document, you can put it on that chair, you can not wearing a mask. We do have a mask mandate in city buildings.
So why wasn't Lisa Williamson wearing a mask when I entered? I'm standing here by myself.
She walked over to Kelly Martinez's office without a mask on.
She entered your office as well without a mask, just stating the truth here. Okay, I'll be calling. I'm going to stay here in the office. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to law enforcement.
Lisa,
so what's going on here is I don't know what to do, TC. That's what it came down to. I have this woman on the other side, this public servant on the other side of the glass window there that is absolutely not. How hard would it have been for this woman? And I'm sorry, I'm saying this woman because I'm actually agitated again watching this. How ridiculous is this? So I'm watching the city attorney.
Totally.
She simply could have said, open the window this far and slide it through. And I would have done that, and we would have had a signature, and we would have been off. It would have been over. They could have said, "I'll open the door over. The door is that way or that way. It's to my left when I'm facing the window. There's a door, the entrance into the office there, and if they would have just said even slide it under the door, maybe it wouldn't slide under the door. They could have opened the door, and they could have just let me." What was the issue? Why would they not take the document? So TC, again, I'm new at this. I didn't know what I should do. They wanted me to put it on a chair, and I'm thinking, I don't want to put my personal information out there on a chair where somebody could come along and take it. So there's a lot of things going through my head here. I didn't know what else to do. And prior to this, remember, I had already stated that I had asked the sheriff to help me with this. Unbeknownst to me that, they can't just help you. They actually have to do a service. It has to be scheduled, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason I had asked him to help me, and I had told him this, is because I was concerned something like this would happen. And so here we go.
Right.
So what I'm doing is I'm turning around here and saying, because I don't know what else to do. I'm dedicated to serving these papers because it's like the right thing to do. And so I'm going to call the sheriff and say, can you help me? It went awry. We had an issue. We're having an issue. And if I knew what I know now, you know, I probably would have just, left the office and not left the papers. I'm not sure, but so that's where.
Stop. This isn't on you. This isn't on you. Okay. This is not on you. At this point, everybody can see, and I'm sorry, if you are watching this and you are thinking for a minute that anything that Lisa has done at this point shows any sort of petulance or lack of respect, even asking the pointed question of, well, then why isn't she wearing a mask? Well, she was alone. Okay, but the window was open and the conversation was had, and she went all the way back to your office and she wasn't wearing one. Like, all of this is obfuscation on the part of Kelly Martinez. That's all it is. It's obfuscation. And there's this heavy-handed, highfalutin mentality, and we're about to see something here. And I'm just going to let people there again form your own opinions. Lisa says, I'll call law enforcement. She gets on the phone with Sheriff Freitag, and something else plays out, and you need to watch this very closely. And Lisa, you talked about this with Carter from Unsafe Space, and people, and Carter is really good with all this technical stuff. I'm not. I work with old equipment that's probably, like Larry again, older than your grandchildren combined. But Carter from Unsafe Space, I don't know where he got the video, but went through and highlighted some of this stuff. And what you're about to see is emblematic of the entire mentality of people who are public servants. We're gonna let the story play here at this point uninterrupted for just a little bit, so you can actually watch. And I want you guys, as you're watching, watch where my cursor is here. Watch what happens the second that I push the play button. And I want to keep in mind, neither Lisa or either of the two people that she has brought with her as assistants have made any type of gesture or threats of harm to person or building. They have not entered the building illegally. Up until the point that Lisa took her mask off, she has followed every single directive that has been given to her, short of just leave it on the chair and go.
Right.
Now watch again this area very closely and listen to how this plays out. Okay, we made about 2 seconds. Did you see what she just did? She just motioned to the city attorney's clerk. She just motioned. Now listen to this very carefully.
They can come and deliver them.
I'm pretty sure I just heard I did it. And right there, we're just going to go back here for just a second.
They can come and deliver them.
Don't raise their hand today.
Now I'm going to get mad. Don't worry. They're on their way.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in that office knew exactly what happened just now. We're not going to say it. We're going to let somebody else from the outside come in and tell us what happened when we get back outside. And I just want you guys to ask yourself, how much of a threat is Lisa Hanson and her assistants? How much of a threat are they right now? And I also want to note, by the way,
I think they have the upper hand right now.
Oh, I love that, by the way. I also want to note, as I was saying, that under Minnesota law, we are a single party consent state. I do not, Lisa does not, nobody ever needs to give their permission to be recorded. Lisa does not have to give permission. The people in the office do not have to give permission. The only person that needs to be party to recording is the person who is involved and who is doing the recording. Period. We are a single party consent state. So it doesn't matter if you want to be recorded or not. If I'm in public or in a public building, I can record whatever I want, and you can't say anything short of actually going into a courtroom. And there's a whole other list of things that go on with that. But let's just be noted, they do not have to have permission to record here or to disseminate that information.
It sounds like they've called the police department, which I said.
Lisa is now on the phone with
the office, and they
county sheriff.
Leave. And I said, that's okay, I'll go ahead and call law enforcement. And so they said, never mind, police department's on their way.
Don't worry,
they're on their way. I am just trying to deliver a document. This is not a service, I made that clear. She told me I had to have an appointment. I tried to call, they would not return my call. Today I called this morning. The message,
you know, and TC, I think it's important to point out here too, it doesn't matter whether it was dropping off a document or serving, making a personal service, serving a document. I don't think it matters what it was. You know, there was just absolutely no acceptance. But anyway, just to point that out, again, I said, I'm not serving, but it really, and technically it was a service.
Right. We all use a poor choice of words at times in these situations. So, right. And so now I want everybody to now be paying very close attention because it's about to change very quickly here.
Mm-hmm.
All I want to do is drop off the document. It's a rebuttal for tomorrow's arraignment. Yeah, it's a document that Assistance of Counsel has prepared. It's an objection, non-consent, and jurisdictional challenge. It's not a big deal. I filed this with the.
And when Lisa says it's not a big deal here, she's not saying it isn't important. She's saying I don't understand why this has got to be such a dilemma.
Right, exactly.
That they're entering that into the system, and so then my next step was to come over here and drop.
And I also want to point out that Lisa is not 100%, like she hasn't watched this in a very long time, so this to some degree is probably traumatic to her, especially considering we're about to see.
They're very busy, and I need to make an appointment.
Hello, hey there.
What's the police department? What's going on?
Police is on the phone with the sheriff right now.
Okay.
I cannot emphasize enough, and I know that Lisa agrees with me, that the way that the Albert Lea Police Department officers respond in this situation was bar none phenomenal and professional.
Yes.
Yes. Considering what we're about to find out here in just a couple of minutes, they could have come in here in a completely different way, and this could have gone very poorly, very quickly. I just want people to understand that this is not a critique of the Albert Lea Police Department or their staff. This is actually props to them for coming in and displaying some humanity. As I said in the original videos, which you will see when they come back up here shortly.
Sure. I'm happy to. It just needs to get to the city attorney, that's all. So I'll see if the
one officer. There's one.
Yeah. I just didn't want to leave the document.
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hey. Lisa's on the phone with the sheriff right now.
No, it's inside. It's in the foyer, the entrance to the office. There's 2 chairs sitting there, about 2.5 feet apart. So they're talking to Ms. Martinez right now.
That's service. I don't know what
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing going on here. There's no
Okay,
reason
so now
for
the,
6 officers to be here right now.
I'm sorry, sir.
Right.
We're here peacefully.
I do.
I want to emphasize what he just said. We're here
Yeah.
peacefully.
Sheriff, I just want to make sure I get the right docs here.
I feel so bad for Lisa's personal assistant here. I've known this young lady for longer than Lisa has, actually, and she is not public enemy number 1 or 2. I'll tell you that.
No.
No, they have not accepted.
And I also want to emphasize, you can see in Lisa's face here that this is not what she wanted. Lisa, I think it would be a very safe bet to say at this point in time, you probably are afraid you're going to jail.
I didn't know what was going to happen, TC. I did not, you know, my mind at this point is just spinning. I went in to literally drop off papers. My goodness. What happened?
We still don't know what happened at this point, but we're
Yeah.
about to find out.
Yeah. I won't spoil it.
No, I know you won't. No, and I'll cut it out if you do.
So what's happening here is I'm being escorted out of the office. They want us to get out of the building, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the officer here has offered to hand deliver papers to the city attorney.
Okay, you want to hang on or what?
And when he offered to deliver those to the city attorney personally for me, I said I would so appreciate something to the.
Let him.
Can we get a signature? We need a signature on that.
Yeah.
Kurt knows who I am, so.
All right.
It's 102.
Sheriff, can we hang up now? He said.
All right.
All right, can I hang up now, Sheriff? Thank you, bye-bye.
Just have to abide by the policies that we have here, so.
It's interesting how I have to abide by the policy, but Lisa Williamson didn't have her mask on, and she did enter the city attorney's office for that.
I didn't have mine either, when I just gave it here, you reminded me to put it on.
I hope I put it on, but that still wasn't good enough, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, gentlemen, I appreciate it.
Once again, I want to emphasize that we recognize the incredibly awkward situation that the Albert Lea PD was put in this situation.
Right.
Once again, we still have not even gotten. We haven't even gotten to the revelation yet.
Right.
And you're going to see the look on Lisa's face here in just a very short period of time. Of what? Are you kidding me? And there again, incredibly well. Balanced, very professional response on the part of the Albert Lea law enforcement community. No critiques of that. None. I'm not even going to critique the fact that that a couple of them weren't wearing facial coverings when they came in, because understanding that you're coming into a situation that you don't know what, it's fluid, it's dynamic, you don't know what's going on. The last thing in the world that you're going to be worried about is whether or not you've got some sort of a piece of material between your face and the air to protect you from a virus that has a 99.9% survivability rate, when you could be walking into what you're assuming at this point is an incredibly hostile situation. So no, not even going to critique that. So just hold on, ladies and gentlemen. It gets better. Oh, look at that. They're even signing out.
Oh, yeah, those are. Thank you, Officer.
You're welcome.
Herman.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Minnesota in January.
And I appreciate you. You have a nice family.
I support you and what you guys are doing. You just are unconstitutional.
This is just crazy times right now in the country.
It is. It is. You know, the only thing that I would.
got several police vehicles. They've been very good to us.
Listen to this.
Well, no, we didn't.
There's 5 squad cars here,
No.
and there was like 5 or 6 of you in.
I don't know if someone accidentally hit the panic button. That's what I
Did you catch that? I don't know if somebody accidentally hit the panic alarm. Now we know, having watched, it wasn't an accident, it was intentional. And we also know that the Albert Lea Police Department responded incredibly professionally.
Yes.
There's no doubt in my mind that they did. That does not change the fact that that panic alarm was not pushed on accident. On accident. It wasn't an accident. And for people to be out there passing around this rumor that Lisa Hanson gained unlawful entry to the building, and it took them that long, if that were the case, to summon law enforcement, is just patently false. It is a lie. And not only is it a lie, it's a lie that has been propagated by somebody in the city of Albert Lea to protect the city of Albert Lea. And not the police department, because they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't, I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but they didn't do anything wrong. City of Albert Lea did nothing. The City of Albert Lea Police Department did nothing wrong. They did exactly what they were supposed to do when a panic alarm got pushed. But the idea that I've been approached with, and literally by people from Albert Lea, saying, well, we were told that Lisa forced entry into the building. Have you seen Lisa in person? Lisa couldn't force entry into a screen door. And no, neither could her personal assistants. I mean, the gentleman that's with her is a little bit bigger, but he is not what you would consider a lumberjack. He's not some big bulky corn-fed rancher. Nobody forced entry into that building. Nobody gained unlawful entry into that building. Nobody entered that building under false pretenses. Nobody entered that building in any way, shape, or form outside of the restrictions that were placed on entering the building. But that's what people are being told. And this is the nature of the prosecution that's being handled with Lisa Hanson. We do not need to go any further in the particular video, but we do want people to understand, and Lisa and I are on the same page here. I don't care anymore. I do not care anymore what people think. This situation was completely avoidable, and all somebody had to do was to take the paper or even pick up the freaking phone in the morning when Lisa called, or return the call when they got the voicemail. That's all it took. That's all it would have taken. Lisa has never been a criminal. Like, Lisa, when's the last time you got a speeding ticket? I mean, after this, it'll probably be tomorrow. But when's the last time you got a speeding ticket?
30 years ago, maybe.
Did they even
30?
have limits back then? I'm just... Were you still stopping your car? Were you still stopping your car with your bare feet out the bottom of the...
Yeah, yes, we had the Flintstones, right?
Yeah, very good. Like, this is what I want people to understand. This is the lengths that they will go to take down anybody who tells the truth about what they're doing. This is exactly what it is. They've come after Lisa. They've come after other people. They went after Lisa Monet. They went after Lavita McFarquhar. They've gone after other people in this state and other states and other jurisdictions and other municipalities. If you don't follow the narrative, if you don't tread on the path that they've laid out for you, they're going to make things up about you. They're going to paint you as a public enemy. They're going to paint you out to be some sort of radical insurrectionist, some sort of radical weirdo who's a danger to the public servants and all of that. And that's exactly what they've done with Lisa. That officer, to his credit, in a bad situation said, well, somebody may have accidentally pushed a panic. We know the panic button was pushed. We saw it take place on video. We know that Lisa entered that building with with her team lawfully and followed all of the rules up until the point they got in there, and Lisa finally said enough's enough, and I'm taking mine off because she didn't have to have hers on. And that's the closest to defiant that Lisa got, short of being ordered to leave the building. By who? Who is she to order you to leave the building?
Right.
And that's what I want people to understand. Lisa has been fighting this fight ostensibly alone, and she's not, and I guarantee, and I'll let her say her own thought, she's not going to discredit the number of people that have been standing with her and standing behind her and standing for her and sending money to her legal defense and buying the t-shirts, which I guarantee you Lisa has t-shirts you can buy if you want them. She's not discrediting any of that.
Right.
But it's beyond time for standing behind a person or coming onto their Facebook page or onto their website and saying, oh, hey, we support you, keep going, while you continue to be able to go to work and you continue to be able to not have to worry about going to court and having an attorney or representing yourself. Now is the time for people to say enough is enough. The video is here. It is clear. Yeah. Lisa did not do anything wrong, and the only wrong that was done was the misuse of a panic device in the situation and the demeaning way in which Lisa and her team were treated. Period. When are the people going to say enough is enough and start saying we demand that employees of the city of Albert Lea be held to the same standard, if not a higher standard, than they expect the citizens to be held to?
That's right.
I want people to understand that. Nobody's asking for somebody to have an artificial standard placed on them. We're just saying treat them the same way. Mm-hmm. A law is a law is a law is a law, and lying or spreading misinformation about Lisa Hanson and saying that she broke the law or saying that she gained unlawful entry to get into that building and therefore justifies you pushing a panic button, the law doesn't even allow that. It says if there's no clear and present danger to person or property, you cannot use a panic device. You cannot misuse a 911 device or anything like that. That's, you can, like, there are people today who are going to court for misusing 911. If you pick up the phone and you call 911 on purpose, knowing there's no emergency, and summon any type of law enforcement or first responder response, and they get there and there's no emergency, you can be charged with the crime. And if your kids are screwing around on the phone and they're constantly hitting 911 and calling law enforcement, you might get away with it once or twice, 2, 3, 4 times. You're going to get in trouble. This is not a child playing with a phone. This is not a child who hits buttons the wrong way. This was clear. This was clear, and there was no danger. And Lisa, and I cannot say this enough, Lisa entered that building lawfully and according to policy and procedure during the COVID pandemic. She did everything that was asked of her, and she was treated like dirt, and now she's been lied about. And that's who's prosecuting her. Lisa, the floor is yours.
I think you've said it all, TC. Looking back over the video, it has been a very long time since I've seen the video, and there's been a lot that's happened in between when that took place and today.
I dare watch it and come to any other conclusion.
Yeah, to watch it again, I'm appalled all over again.
I don't know why.
For so many reasons, right? The way, not just the way that we were treated, but none of it made sense. Where was the professionalism? Where was the servitude? Where was these people in office are public servants? And I've been in business for a long time. My husband and I have owned businesses for a long time. If we treated our customers, our clients, the way these people treat us, we wouldn't be in business today. Do you know that it's our clients that sign our paychecks? It's our clients that it's to their credit that we are in business. And the only reason we're in business is because we treat our clients with respect, because we are there to serve them. Because in a sense, they've elected to come to us and do business with us. So we better take good care of them. And on an even higher level, a higher standard, should our public servants be there to take care of us, to speak with us, to accommodate us, whatever it is. And they also need to be very cognizant that they are oath keepers rather than oath breakers. That oath that they have taken, that they have sworn, those that have taken an oath, it's so important that our officials, whether they're elected or they're appointed / hired, it's so important that they are, adhering to the oath that they swore to the constitutions of the state they live in and to the Constitution for the United States of America. We are so far from what? Say that again.
Which supersedes all of it.
It does. It does.
Supersedes all of it.
So what I
no procedure, no anything in the world can supersede the Constitution, contrary to what we're being told. The policy and procedure does not restrict the Constitution. The Constitution looks at policy and procedure and says, "Oh, you're violating me. You're unlawful. Oh, you're repugnant."
Any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. Supreme Court. Any law, and you can fill in with law and policy, whatever. Statute. Thank you. So we have a real problem on our hands here, TC, and we need people to step up to the plate. There's I say corruption, and there is a lot of corruption, but the fact that there is such a non-accountability, we've got to keep these officials accountable. We have to keep these people accountable. And you saw someone, me, in that recording in the video, right? That really didn't have a whole lot of knowledge yet at that point, and I'm still learning. I thank TC. He's has been a great coach to me as well, and I learned something by watching all of your videos, and I so appreciate you because you've been a great teacher for me. But what the point I want to make here is, if I can do this, what I'm doing, standing up for our freedoms and liberties, for our children and grandchildren's freedom and liberties, all of you can do it too. And we have to start doing it. We've got to open our eyes. We've got to pay attention. Let him who has ears, help me out with that, TC. Let him who has ears.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this one. This is going to be fun.
So if you got ears
to hear.
Let him, yes, let he that has ears to hear. So yeah, you said it great. We'll leave it at that. Sorry, this is all.
Sorry.
No,
I had to let it out because I'm still fuming. I haven't watched this in months, and just watching it again, especially literally, people are going, Lisa broke the law, and I'm like, I watched the freaking video. I've seen it. I did the breakdown of it. She didn't do anything wrong. So it's like, that's my angry face. So I had to have some sort of humor in this situation.
So I think it's important. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think it's important to point out tonight too that I appreciate what you're doing, but here's what needs to be pointed out. TC is not doing what he's doing tonight just to stick up for his friend Lisa, right? That's not what this is about. Is that what this is about, TC? Is it just to say, hey?
I'm going to tell people right now. Prior to December 17th, I had no idea who Lisa Hanson was. None, none. And unfortunately for Lisa, I call her friend now. So the poor lady's like, her reputation, if it wasn't ruined before, it's done now. But she's my friend. But I'm not standing up for her just because she's my friend. I would honestly do this for the guy who called me every name in under the sun, if this is how they were being treated.
Right.
I was at a school board meeting in Owatonna a month ago, and lady got up to speak against the people that were speaking against critical theory, and the crowd started to boo her, and I'm like, hey, stop, let her speak, this is her time. So I'm consistent. Period. I'm consistent. Why? Because It doesn't matter what the viewpoint is. It doesn't matter who the person is. They are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, which the Constitution doesn't grant, but puts restrictions on the government from infringing upon. And what we saw in that situation, what we just saw in this video again, and I don't care who this upsets, what we just saw was Lisa's been lied on, lied about, accused, and maligned. For what? I'm not asking that anybody go to jail in this situation. I'm just saying, let's deal with the reality that the only situation in this entire scenario that we just watched where there was a law broken had nothing to do with Lisa Hanson. Lisa didn't break the law. And that's why I'm standing up for her. Lisa could call me up tomorrow and say, hey, you know what? I don't want to have anything to do with you. People told me you're radical and dangerous. And I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I'm still going to stand up for her. Because that's what we do. Yeah, and piggyback on something else that Lisa was saying about accountability. Look, people, and Lisa's already heard this from me, so this isn't directed at her. If you're a fan of Lisa Hanson, if you're a supporter of Lisa Hanson, stop blaming the Marxist. Stop blaming the leftist. Stop blaming the corrupted politicians and the corrupted political class and the corrupted public servants. Like, if they're corrupt, it's your fault. Because you've been sitting back, ignoring the people like me who prior to 2020 in April, when I put my channel up, I was still talking about this stuff for years. For years, I was talking about this stuff. It was just the rapid advancement of all this garbage that made me decide to launch the channel and start talking about it, because nobody was willing to do it. And for all of you people who's like, oh, he's overreacting, who are now coming up to me going, you were right. You're at fault. I was at fault. Lisa was at fault. Every single person out there who's outraged right now, you're at fault. You allowed this to happen because you said, oh, well, we elected them, so we're just going to trust them. No, like, if you have to elect them, don't trust them because they work for you. And if you elect them and they appoint people, don't just trust that they're appointing the right people. Make sure that you're following through and making sure that the people they're appointing are actually doing their jobs and keeping their oaths. And when they violate somebody's constitutional rights, they need to be held accountable. When they treat people like garbage, they need to be held accountable. Because I got news for you. If you went out on the street and did what we just saw, you'd go to jail. Or you would at least get a ticket. And nobody would defend you. And they shouldn't have to. They wouldn't circle wagons around you to protect you. And they shouldn't have to. Lisa, tell me just a little bit about the organization that you started now, and make it quick, because I know you're like me. You're probably getting ready up on your bedtime. So Vern's probably out in there somewhere. So
audio up here because I apologize, but I'm losing battery on my. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So we've started an organization called Stand for Liberty. We also have a new website. And again, as we've been learning, going through all of this, the website is called BeTheInterchange.com. The Interchange is, of course, the name of our restaurant that we hope to reopen. So easy to remember, guys, be the interchange, like be the change. And that's really what we're talking. I know it's an old, saying and cliche. It's kind of cliche, but thought it would be easy to remember. So be the interchange and Stand for Liberty. We meet, Stand for Liberty meets every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m.
On the bottom of the screen, I already put your website on there.
Awesome. Thank you. You're awesome. We meet every Tuesday night at the Interchange, 211 South Broadway Ave. And the Interchange is temporarily closed down right now, but so it works great for a meeting place, and we will be there this Tuesday night. And so Stand for Liberty, you can be a part of it. You can join.
Well, we're trying to organize a training trip.
Yes.
On Tuesday. But Lisa's got a city council meeting that she's going to, and she would love to have people, especially from the Albert Lea area. If you see this, she would love to see you there for the work session at 5:30. and then to stick around because this work session is a public meeting, and that's where all the decisions are made. Ostensibly, decisions are made during work sessions, and then they're just voted on at the regular meetings. Lisa will be speaking tomorrow, and I can tell you for a fact there's going to be at least 3-4 other people, maybe more, who will be speaking tomorrow as well at the city council meeting in Albert Lea. I speak on the part of Lisa and her crew. If you show up, come civilly, come respectfully, use decorum. You can express frustration, and you can vocalize your discontent, but we're going to maintain decorum. And we're doing this everywhere now, everywhere. And that's why we're working on getting Lisa's team together to see if they can show up to help out another group doing the same thing in another municipality, because this is how we stand. We stand for liberty by standing together. And to quote Benjamin Franklin, gentlemen, if we do not hang together, we will certainly be hanged apart. And that may sound like a bit of hyperbole. I would tell you to say that to the over 200 people that have been locked up since January 6th on misdemeanor charges, on 23-hour-a-day lockdowns.
Wow.
Aren't being allowed to talk to their families. Only talk to legal counsel if legal counsel is available for them. Lisa, do you want people to show up tomorrow?
Please, we have to. I'm committed. I've committed to showing up at the city council meetings and the school board meetings, and then there will be other things that we're going to get involved with as well. We have to get involved. Please show up tomorrow night.
Anything else that you would like to say to your fans? Because honestly, if you had my YouTube channel, you would probably have far more people than I do.
No, that's not true.
Everybody loves Lisa. Everybody's like, when's Lisa coming on again? And I'm like, so I just whenever I need to bump up my viewers, I just call you.
Oh, okay. You're a sweetheart, TC. Listen, you guys, we got to do this. If you don't want to do it for yourself, that's okay. Do it for your children, your grandchildren. Do it for future generations. We're done playing around. They're coming after us. They're coming after our republic, and they mean to take it from us. But we can stand together and we can stop them. I love our country. I love the people of this country. I love our freedoms and our liberties. I love our Constitution. I love common law. I love God that has given us our inalienable rights. So let's get together. Let's do this. If I can do it, you can do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't end better than that. So like I always try to end my videos in an encouraging way. Don't worry about your health. Don't worry about your safety. Fight for your liberty. Fight for your freedom. Sic Semper Tyrannis.